With so many various types of Notion automations released over the past year, it can be confusing what to apply to your systems. This is the most comprehensive, one-stop, single YouTube video covering all 10 forms of Notion internal no-code automations. Beyond identifying the range of automation options, this video dives into use cases and ideas for applying them in Notion life management systems such as Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults. The demos here will be in PPV, but applicable to any personal system. These are the internal no-code automations, so no external apps such as Zapier or Make or the API, and no formulas or coding language necessary for any of these. Each of the 10 types of automations has a chapter marker so you can jump to those of most interest or revisit them. Here is the list of the 10 automations that we'll cover. First, Notion's classic automations. We'll cover these quickly. They've been around for a long time, but since we want to have a comprehensive list, we'll start with these and we'll include them. Number 1 is add an entry from a filtered view to automatically apply properties. Number 2 is using due dates or DO dates for automatically rolling into filtered views. This is the most PPV specific automation that we've leveraged since day one. Number 3 is database templates. Then we'll get into the newer template automations. Those are number 1, default templates, and number 2, recurring templates. Then we dive deeper into button triggers, which include number 1, page button blocks, and number 2, database buttons. Next, we explore database property triggers, often incorrectly called Notion automations, but as we see here, they are just one of many types of Notion automations. Then we finally get to AI automations, both number 1, database AI properties, and number 2, AI page blocks. Before we dive in, I want to pause for a moment of context and honesty. You don't hear this much in YouTube videos or blogs, but I'm going to be blunt and very honest here. I do this channel first and foremost to help you improve your life, not to master Notion. None of the Notion automations here are game-changing. None of them. All have minimal benefits, though some are oddly emotionally satisfying and add some momentary joy and a sense of reward to progress on your actions. None of the automations currently available will have a meaningful impact on the quality of your life or on the ability of your system to guide you to a better life. Notion systems can guide you to a better life if designed well, but Notion automations will not make a real difference in that, at least at this stage of their implementation. Same goes for Notion formulas. They will not make a meaningful impact or advancement in your life. But unlike the formula rabbit hole, and unlike external API automations, which all involve long, complex learning curves, the internal no-code Notion automations in this video are all quick and easy to apply with very little time and effort spent for the streamlining they enable and for the emotional gratification they can provide. Formulas, on the other hand, have a big cost investment in time and constant tweaking. API automations have a big cost in setup and managing their ongoing breaking. The API is often changing and breaking the zaps and other external automations. These external or coding automations also have very little return on actual life enhancement, though they can be more valuable for team system management where they can shine more. We'll discuss formulas more in the future, but not in this video. This video is about no-code automations. Whenever possible, I advocate no-code approaches with Notion. I minimize complex formula use in the systems that I teach and the templates I share, since they do not get you closer to your life goals. They just require building time and ongoing maintenance and tinkering with no gain toward your value goals and life aspirations. Complex formulas are not a benefit in Notion templates or in Notion systems. They are a weakness. This channel is about applying Notion to actually improve your life, to make progress toward your life aspirations, to design and build the life you want. It's about achieving top priorities in life. Notion is a support tool. It's secondary and in service of the life aspirations that you design. Let's not overly tinker in Notion. Let's use it as a tool, keeping the clear focus on applying it toward making our lives better, defining our life aspirations, and moving consistently toward them. So let's dive into the 10 internal no-code automations that can streamline your system with very little upfront time and effort. It's the ease of implementing them that makes them worthwhile. I'm talking about for personal life systems here. For business teams, it's a different conversation, since there you typically have someone else building and maintaining them, and you're trying to keep a lot of different people at different usage levels using the system in a consistent way. So there's a stronger case in that scenario. We'll discuss that in future videos. So here we go. In previous PPV life design videos on this channel, we've already had automations in the system. We leveraged them pretty extensively, even though there were very few, and it was hard to sort of squeeze automations out of them. But we did that, and I think we did that to an unparalleled degree back in the day when there were only a few options. Let's cover those quickly to be thorough before moving on to the newer automation features. So these are the classics, the ones we've had for a while, but since we want to be comprehensive, let's include them here up front, but we'll go through these quickly to get onto the newer ones and spend more time going more in depth on the newer ones. So the first one will be, if you're a longtime Notion user, this will be something you've known for a long time, but again, to be thorough, when we add a new entry to a database, we can automatically apply database properties by applying them in a database view that has filters already applied. And whatever the database is filtered for, those database properties will be applied automatically. So here we're in the action zone in PPV, Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults. But again, this works in any database, anywhere in any system. So we have a database here that's filtered to see only the items for today. This is our focused view of the things we're doing today. So this database is pre-filtered to have a few rules here. So one is that the due date, the DO date, the date which we plan and schedule to do the activity, is on or before today. For the most part, on today, but on or before will let us catch anything that we forgot to move forward to today. And anything that's not checked done, or perhaps better, anything that is unchecked, and anything that is status set to active. So because the database is filtered for these, when we add a new entry, it's automatically going to apply these. Let's say we also wanted to have any new entry be of a certain priority. So let's add another rule here. So priority is quick. Perhaps most of the ones we add are quick. If it's something more than a quick one, we'll then change it when we add it. So by default, it'll be the quick priority setting. So those are our rules here. Those are our formulas all set here. And whatever the formulas are, then we say this for everyone, hide that. And by changing that, we now only see the quick one that's here, but that's okay. The purpose of this is to demonstrate the automation of applying properties when creating a new database entry. So now when we create a new database entry, we hit new, and by default, it will have all of the properties that we're filtering for. The status will be set to active, not any other. Due date will be set to today. Priority will be set to quick. And of course, done is unchecked. So whatever the filters are, when we apply a new database in that filtered view, we will get all of those properties applied. That will only apply to that specific filtered view. And this is the new one we added. In any other filtered view, when you hit the new button and add a new one, it's only going to apply filters that that other view is filtered for. So you can create custom filtered views for the purpose of adding a certain combination of database properties. And that's what we've done here in the action zone. This is the today view, the things we're doing today. So if we want to quickly add something to do today, we do it here. And of course, we would typically not filter for that property of priority. And now whenever we add a new one, it's going to be added for what we filtered for, which is our today focus. Across all databases, that's one way to apply a preset combination of properties automatically. So the second classic automation that we've been doing for a long time, but this one is actually not as common because other systems don't use this rigorous application of the DO date, the due date method we use. A few other systems have copied our DO date titling, but they didn't apply the process. And the process is where all the power is. So the distinction is not just that we call it due date, DO date, although that's helpful, it reframes it. And we can also have a DUE date if we want to, But more often than not, the due date is the more valuable one. And in fact, you need a DO date in order to ever meet your DUE date. And in most cases, you don't need a DUE date at all. You just need the date you're going to do it. So what we have here, we open our calendar view. One of the things that really deviated from GTD and a lot of pre-existing systems, and again, one that keeps PPV very unique in the life system design space, even within Notion, is that we have this DO date. And the protocol that wasn't copied, even when the name was copied, is that we rigorously apply this to any and all active action items or any and all active tasks. We never apply an active task that does not have a due date, a DO date. Now, we could have projects that have one or two active tasks and then others queued up, but we're going to get to those as we manage the project. So every active project will have an active task, one or more, so that it's queued up to make progress. And if it's an active project, it must have at least one, if not more, active tasks. This is one of the core principles of PPV that make it distinctive. So every project will have at least one active task, and therefore that active task must have a designated due date. Also, any individual solo tasks or action items that are not part of a project must have a DO date. And the result of this is we don't have a monstrous, single, overwhelming, debilitating to-do list, which is the way virtually every other system works, including GTD. You have this monstrous list that is just always building anxiety and always on your shoulders. We have a lot of short little ones. As you see here, every day we have a little manageable one. If a day gets out of control, you just start reassigning and moving things around so that each day is manageable. But if you can't find a date that has room for you to assign a new task with a specific DO date, a date you intend to do it, then you don't have room in your calendar for it. You either have to delete something else or this one won't make the cut. So we're rigorous about ensuring that everything we add to our active tasks has a specific due date. Therefore, we don't have a monstrous list. We have a lot of short, manageable ones day by day. In the evening before, we review and make final decisions on whether to keep the list as is or modify it for the next day. So there's an ongoing refinement. But when you're adding a task, you must give it a due date unless it's queued up for later in a project and the project has other active due date assigned tasks. So this enabled us to have an automation from the start that very few systems had in Notion, which is because every action item, every task we've assigned that's an active task, it's not a due later as a part of a larger project, will automatically roll into our window for today. This is our focused window for the day. All we see is what we need to get done today, prioritized. Day by day, our queued up due date mini action lists will just roll forward automatically. So that is an automation because we are tying it to the date, and the date is an inherent automation in the Notion calendar, as it is with every calendar. So from day one, Notion had this automation. Most people didn't think of it as an automation because most people didn't have a DO date assigned to every single active task. They just had this giant list, and every day they'd pick a few and choose and move around here and just try and manage this monstrous list. We had a lot of individual manageable short lists because every single task has a DO date, which gives us clarity on what we have room for and what we don't when we have to make tough decisions. So by doing this, tomorrow we get some of these done, all the next ones will roll in automatically. The next day, they all roll in automatically into our action item list for the day, our focus dashboard. Okay, moving on to automation number 3, and this is the third and last of our classics. This is the templates. We've had templates for a long time, but they are a big automation within Notion. So we can apply these all over the place. Any database where we're applying new entries, we can have a pre-built template. So let's go to our Knowledge Vault to look at an example of how we apply these templates. The Knowledge Vault is where we build our understanding, our insights, our wisdom, our knowledge, and all of our reference tools and ideas and information for any topic, in fact, every topic that we're interested in. So we come to our Knowledge Vault, and here we have our Knowledge Vault template. Let's go into the edit here. But of course, once you have a template, every new entry into the Knowledge Vault will have that template applied. So the Knowledge Vault is every topic we have an interest in, professionally and personally. So examples, of course, would be business admin, clubs, content creation, marketing, any hobbies, cycling, sports and fitness. So if we go into the template, we have a pre-built layout. Now, first of all, we'll have pre-established properties. Now, this particular one doesn't have any properties, but any property we assign in the template will be applied to every entry. That's less relevant here, but that's another way to add properties with a new creation, with a new database entry. It's the other way, as opposed to adding it through a filtered view, as we saw in automation number 1. Here we are in automation number 3. And in addition to adding properties that are pre-populated in the template, you can add the title, you can add the icon on top and any top-level graphics. And then even perhaps more powerful, you can have the full page built out down here. Now these toggles here all open to see pre-built views of other databases in our system. So in our Knowledge Vault, as we open these, let's go into a specific entry. So we'll go into our systems thinking entry, open that up. And this has the icon, anything we have assigned up there. It has a pre-built table of contents here, so we can have a quick link to any aspect of this large, comprehensive aggregation of knowledge, ideas, and resources on this topic, which is systems thinking. You can see it's long and it's organized and it's sectioned and it's highlighted. So that makes it very useful to come in at any later point and just pick up where we left off. One of the things in the template was the table of contents, which is automatically applied. We have the body down here. And then perhaps most importantly for this template is we have all these self-referencing filters to other databases that are linked to this topic in the knowledge base. So the knowledge base serves as a master tag database where we identify all the different topics that are related to all of our clients, all of our projects, all of our habits, all of the other parts of our system. And this becomes a one place to look at everything across our entire system that's tied to this particular topic. And by having this template automatically apply these self-referencing filters, we see all the notes and ideas that are tied to this topic of systems thinking. We have all the goods and services that we've researched that are tied to this. They all resurface right here in context. We have all the courses and training that we've done or plan to do or are considering doing, all here referenced to this topic. So we see all of those by looking in this one view of that topic across our whole system. We have our Media Vault items, articles, and YouTube videos and whatever that we've captured related to this topic, and any documents we've saved and captured related. We have everything related to this topic, and it's automatically compiled without us having to do any work by applying the template and having the template set up to sort and filter everything else across the system that is referring to this topic. That's the power of the Knowledge Vault. We have a whole video on Knowledge Vault if you want to get into that. But the template lets us automatically apply this. And then within it, when we have self-referencing filters and table of contents and things like that, it automatically applies that functionality to every new entry in this database. So similarly, if we jump into projects, we have a projects template. So when we hit a new here, when we apply the template there, we will automatically have any icons or graphics at the top, any properties that we've assigned for that template. In this case, we could have different types of projects, and each project could have its own custom template. And therefore, by applying this, we will automate the creation of each new project and a consistent layout and a lot of functionality. So similarly, we'll have self-referencing filter to what outcome goals this project is attached to. Any thoughts, reminders, it prompts us on how to organize and build out the project. And then we get into action items. So these are the action items attached to the project, automatically built out, automatically filtered for this new project because we are filtering based on rules that apply it to that particular template, which then applies it to each additional project. So this is automation. This is automation at its finest, and we've had this for a long time. Similarly, down here, we have all these databases that are self-referencing to the project and therefore compiling everything across our entire workspace, across our entire PPV system to this project will resurface when we look at the single dashboard for this project. And as we look at any other project, We'll have everything assembled in one place for that project. And when we create a new project, we apply the template, and that is the automation of rebuilding this instantly from scratch with no additional work. In addition to projects, we can do this in our daily routines and tracking. We can do this with our client database. We can do this with our content database. Any database, we have a pre-built template that applies the most functional, practical, useful view into that database, or even multiple different types of entries into that database. So that is the third of the three classic automations that we've had all along, but they continue to serve us very well, so I wanted to include them in this comprehensive view. Now let's move on to some of the newer automations that we've been getting over the past year or so. And since the pillars, pipelines, and vaults that have appeared over the past year, and perhaps most importantly, since the last of the PPV videos that I did a while ago. So we'll be updating how PPV can take advantage of these newer automations. So moving into some of the newer automations, we have default templates, which is building on the automations of templates with automations for templates. So let's just go back into projects. This is a simple one. We can show this quickly, but it adds a new level of automation to what I just showed with the capabilities of templates themselves. So by default, there's no default template, or the empty page is the default. You can make it so that whenever you hit the new button, you don't have to click the down arrow and select a template. Just the new button itself will apply the default template, and you simply set the default template by clicking the three dots here and set as template. You can make it for all views of the project's database or only for particular views of the database. We'll set it for all. So now when we click the down arrow, we'll see that that is the default, and anytime we hit new here or new down here, it will automatically apply that template. Nothing groundbreaking, but it's an automation on top of the automation that templates already are. So anywhere in the system, let's say across PPV, there's so many places for this. Let's say in our action zone, we would want to apply this to our daily tracking. We can make this our daily tracking template, the default. And so now whenever we apply a new template in daily tracking, we will apply the primary default template for that. Similarly, in our cycle reviews, so we go to our daily, monthly, weekly cycle reviews, and we can apply, that's the same one we just saw, but we can apply, so for our weekly reviews, we can apply our default weekly review template as the template going forward. So it's that simple, but a nice enhancement. So you're not constantly having to apply templates. It's just automatically applied with whatever you want. Different views can have different default settings so that different views have different preferences and functionality optimized for that view. Similarly, our next relatively new automation in Notion is recurring templates. Now this takes things a little bit further, a little bit more interesting. So let's say back in review cycles here, we're going to be doing a weekly review every week. So what we might want to do is set this to repeat. Here we can choose the cadence. Since this is our weekly review, we'll set it for weekly. You can choose what day it pops up on, or even multiple days to repeat on a weekly basis. But let's say it comes up every Sunday, so that's when we do our weekly review. You can set the date it starts. You can set the time it pops up. Maybe have it pop up early in the morning so it's there waiting for you when you get to it on Sunday. And you can have whatever cadence you want. You can have it come in multiple days a week, every week. And this sets a rhythm. And then it's there waiting for you. It might be set as a reminder. So if you set one of the properties with you as the owner, it'll notify you that you have a notification in the upper left corner in your inbox. That's one way to know, or you can just know that every Sunday there's going to be a new entry here with the template already applied, waiting for you, ready to go. So that's another automation on top of the automations that templates are. Similarly, back on our action zone, you could do a similar thing with daily tracking. So every day you could have a new one applied. So here we do daily, and maybe it's every day, every 2 days, whatever, you have control over it, every 3 days, whatever, you set the time it starts. So you can pick any start date you want, and it will automatically apply. Now, perhaps the most powerful use case of this is for tasks and action items. So first of all, you can use it for recurring tasks. If every Monday or every Monday and Thursday, you want to do a certain recurring task, you would just set that here. You would create a template for that task, and then you would set that and then you would set the cadence for that recurring task. Repeat, weekly, monthly, whatever, set your cadence and it's here. Every month starting on this date, boom. You could have every month, every other month, every third month, similarly with all the other cadences. Weekly is nice because you can set specific dates. It's not just alternating every fixed number of days, so you get a little more precision with the weekly one. Now, the downside here, there's one thing that really I wish we could do, is this is going to apply it when that day comes. So on the day the task is set to be done, or on the day the weekly review is to be done, on the month that whatever you are doing monthly is set to be done, it will appear and pop up. Unfortunately, at this point, we cannot set a fixed number of days ahead of time. So it's not going to inform us on our schedule as we look at planning in our action zone, where we can see what's coming up. It's not going to tell us what's coming up because it's not going to automatically add them ahead of time. I really, really wish it could do that. I have spoken with Notion about it and have communicated how important it is that we have due dates ahead of time. It's not something available at this point. They are aware that many of us want that, so hopefully that'll be added. I think it's inevitable that will be added. Notion's relatively new with automations. They're rolling them out. They're improving them. I'm pretty confident that's going to happen, but it's not here yet, and that's a bit frustrating because I really want to see days ahead of time, weeks ahead of time, what's coming up. But at this point, we can have it pop up on the day, and it'll be there visibly automatically. So that's the automation there. You can apply this in so many different ways, but some of the classic ones in Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults would be cycle reviews on the weekly, monthly, annual, quarterly reviews. And for the daily tracking and morning routine, midday processing, and end of day wind down. And then most importantly, perhaps, is in the tasks, have things pop up on a regular basis. I will say in many cases, I still prefer the manual process of, say, this is a recurring task. I put an icon on the top. Say, I use the recycle icon. And then I know that that's a recurring task. And when I complete that, instead of checking it off, I just change the date to a future date of my choosing or of whatever cadence I want. And then it's rescheduled further. It takes no additional time to change the date rather than check it done. It works brilliantly. This is what we've done from day one on PPV. A lot of people found this unsatisfying because it wasn't automated by the software. But honestly, it is just as effective, in many ways more effective, because now we can see it's coming up. And we can pick any day in the future, so we have some flexibility of judgment, and it takes no additional time. So what are you really getting from an automation if it doesn't actually save you any time? This I use for any of my more important things that I want to see ahead of time. So that manual one is still available for you, but now we have some automation if you so choose. And in addition, you could also add tasks using this recurring system to check in. Say you want to make sure you check in on how your particular project is progressing or how a particular client is doing in their progression. Or perhaps in your people database, you want to touch base with somebody on a certain cadence. You can set this kind of recurring template for those check-ins. Of course, you can always do an alert. You can go into any page, either in the page or in any date property. You can set a reminder. In a way, that's another type of automation that can also notify you to take action on something that's already in your database. Okay, moving on to another type of automation that's been expanded is buttons. So first we're going to talk about page button blocks. Now we've had page buttons for a long time, but not too long ago, in the past year or so, they have been dramatically expanded. So let's look at what we can do with the current high-powered page button blocks. Let's look at some use cases where they'd be valuable in PPV. So let's say we go into our people database. This is one of the expansions we've done in PPV since the original YouTube series. It's quite an elaborate version of a people database, a personal and business CRM combined. We're not going to get into all that now. Let's just create a new one that's blank. We've got a number of templates. Of course, what I'm about to show you could be applied to any template. But let's just say you wanted to keep it simple or you wanted to build this into a template. We can now create a button. And this button has a lot of powers far beyond what they used to have originally. and a lot of creative approaches. So one thing to do, say in a people database, let's say this is for, we could create this as a template, but let's say this is for a particular person, and we're going to create this new button. So updates. So every time we talk to Jim or anyone we applied this template to, we'd like to have this preset prompt and set of entries prepared for us and ready for us to apply it. So when the button is clicked, we're going to insert an action and look at all the possibilities we have now. We can insert blocks, which we always could, but we can do even more in the blocks now. We can add a page to any other database. So we can pick any database. You click this, it can add a task in the task database. It can add knowledge or insights or new entries into the knowledge vault. It can add projects. It can create anything from the click of a button by entering a new entry into the database and thereby applying any template we choose and any properties we choose. So we can also edit pages in another database. So we can modify properties in another database. We can show confirmation. It'll be a pop-up. Are you sure you want to do this? That's particularly useful on Teams where you want to urge caution. Or you can open a page. You click this, it opens perhaps instructions for team members or guidance or a reference that you might want to refer to when you're doing whatever entry is in the blocks or the pages you're creating with the button. So, and then you have all these controls of how to modify properties in the same database we're currently in. So we can change any of these properties just by clicking the button. But what I find is really useful on a practical level. A lot of these are nice to know you could do all that, but what are we actually going to use it for? Here's something I use this for all the time. When a button is clicked, we insert blocks. And first of all, we can title this up here. We'll call this update. So now we see the button name is update. And now we click here, review notes from previous discussion. This is a particularly valuable one for a client, for example. We'll make this a toggle. So we have a block here. We have all the functionality of a block. We have a toggle here. We'll give it a couple lines. Agenda to discuss. Final notes after call. And we can set a little bullet point for each of these because it prompts us to do them in bullet points. We'll close these. And now we have this. So we had done. Now when we hit update, it's going to give us the three things to do throughout the call. So first, before the call, we'll review our notes from the previous discussion, then set an agenda. And then after the call, we'll review this here. Click this button here and we can modify things. So that's a particular block. You could have each of these in a separate block. And then we can put a divider under it, keep it nice and organized. And then it would also be useful to have a title on it. So we can put at today update. So it'll be labeled and defined properly. You can give it a header of H2 with a double hashtag. Hit done here. Now when we hit update, we get today. And then just to notify that that one's the original one, as we do each one in the future, a new one pops up above it. And so we have the latest from top to bottom, all tagged and titled with the day that it was created, all the notes and agenda items that we list for each meeting. So this is something that's nice to do. Looks like a bit too much of a gap there, so we can remove that extra spacing, maybe just one line, and then it's going to look a lot nicer. So there we go. So then as we do different meetings, we have these prompts. It takes 1 second to click the button, have the new setup ready, and we have that ready to go. So that's really useful for quick ongoing references or updates within a page entry for a person, for a client, for a project, anything you want to take notes on, any meetings you do with organizations, you could just have your quick and easy to update references. Now, this is a simple version. You can do a very elaborate version of this. When I've done team consulting and set up team systems, we'll have a personal dashboard for each team member. And so we'll have a button just like this. You click that button and it will have the entire dashboard built out in the page blocks in here. So clicking a new button will either add a new page to a database if each person's dashboard is in a database. If not, it'll be insert blocks, but in the block, we'll just go /page and the block will be a page. This page is now in the block being applied by the button. You build the whole dashboard. And so that becomes a button. Here, we can delete the first one. For the sake of this new example, this new dashboard page will be the full dashboard build out of each new team member or employee or participant in the organization. And by simply clicking this button, you build a page, a subpage from wherever the button is placed for the entire dashboard of the new person. Incredibly powerful. But one of the great things is it can also add new entries into databases, modify databases, and all that. So that's taking Notion automations really to a much higher level. So again, that kind of thing can be applied in any of your databases, in projects, in the Knowledge Vault, in client database page entries, in your habits, anywhere that you might do additional regular modification of a similar type. It's going to let you just queue that up very effortlessly. Another great example would be mini project updates. And of course, you can share those. Those blocks are shareable with other team members. So keep that in mind. All right, now, similarly, we can put these buttons inside of database properties. So we now have database property buttons. Now, these are actually more limited in that you're not building out blocks on a page. But anything that the page block could do to a database property button can do to the database it's in or any other database in your workspace. So think of the database button that we're going to look at right now as the database version of the page block. But it can't do the page block building part of it. But by including it in a database, it's going to let it be visible in your tables, in your board views, and all of the overviews of your databases. So that can be valuable as well in some circumstances. So let's look at that. So let's go back into the action zone. Okay, so now we're in this view here, which is the action zone. I'm going to drag this up just to get a full width view here. And we can now add a new type of property, which is a button. This is one of the newer ones. Let's drag this back over here. And the button can do a lot of things to manipulate this database or other databases. So by default, it's called button. If we click on edit property, we will have control over this button. So first of all, we can name this completion. A completion button. When the button is clicked, that is going to be the trigger. By default, the trigger is what it is. It's the button being clicked. So this is a manual trigger, but it's one that's very visibly prompting you or other team members to do so. So it's frankly, in the most valuable use cases of this will be for teams. So when you're designing workflows and you want to communicate that workflow to other people in your workspace, and it may not be apparent to them when you just see the normal rows of regular properties, but a button will prompt them to do a certain action that can then make one or more alternate adjustments based on that. So perhaps when you complete it, you want them to note the date in a completion property. Well, instead of just having the completion property and assuming they know to do that, you can have the completion button that they have to click to mark it complete, and that will automatically add the completion date. Let's go ahead and look at how we might do that. So when the button is clicked, what is the action? So if we have a property called completion date, if we didn't have one, we could create one. The action, the trigger is clicking the button. It'll trigger the action being to assign a completion date. Click on this. Now we have the choice between now, meaning a date and timestamp, or today, which is just a date stamp. Usually today would do the job. Now this, I'll point out since we're here, is one of the limitations that's been frustrating me and a lot of other Notion users. We really need more dynamic dates. We only have these 2 dynamic dates. We need to be able to set a fixed number of dates into the future. I've just recently, again, reminded Notion how important that is. So we're hoping that that's going to come soon. It will definitely come eventually, just a matter of how long. But for now, we have these 2 dynamic dates. And when we get new dynamic date capabilities, it'll be right here and it'll be obvious. So you can check when you're watching this video in the future, you can check and see if that's been rolled out yet. But today's pretty powerful and a useful one as well. It'd be so nice to be able to set these in the future and set future dates as well. All right, so we set today as the date. So now if we bring completion date over here, just so we can see it, we hit completion and it stamps the date. Okay, that's cool. But completion would also mark it done. So perhaps we should have two actions. So let's go to the button and edit the property. So in addition to setting the completion date, let's add another step, which is to check done to checked. So now it's going to do two things. When we check completion, it's going to, and because this database is filtered for this, when I click it, it's going to disappear. So we're actually going to open this up and we'll do it in here. So now we have the due date is today. Let's open this up so we can see the completion date and the checkbox. When we hit completion, it checks it done and it adds the completion date. So it disappears from the list here and we get everything done. So anything you want to have applied to the database properties, when you complete it, you just set those up. You can set as many automation actions as you want to be performed whenever that trigger is triggered by clicking the button. So perhaps it's not so much a completion that the person who did it has to check, but perhaps it has to be reviewed by the supervisor. So in that case, you might click approve, and the supervisor will approve it. And so that is a prompt. Just by changing the name, we now have a prompt of what the button is for. So now the supervisor, who may not be the person who built the system, is still unfamiliar with it, comes in here and goes, okay, so I need to click the approve button. It's a guidance. It's a prompt for a certain action from team members and helps guide team members. Again, this is why I think this particular feature is more useful in team scenarios, less so on your own system, because you know what to do. And this is why I say it's not game changing, is because you can do all the things pretty quickly. You're saving a click or two. That's nice. We'll take it, but it's not life changing. I think the biggest value is in prompting team members to operate and do a protocol in a certain way. So that's database buttons. Now the next automation is an enhancement on top of that for databases, and this is database property triggers. So here we have the trigger is the button in the database property. But now one of our newest Notion automations is to have a change in any of the properties, not just a button click, but an actual modification of any of the properties can trigger one or more actions as well, either in this database or in other databases. Now, one big caveat for this one, and that's unique for this one of all the automations, we're looking at this one where we have a change in the database property, which I'm about to show you how it works in more detail. This one is for paid plans only. On a free plan, you're going to have very limited access to this. I mean, almost no access. The only access will be if you download a template that others have built, you can use the automations, but you won't be able to edit them or create any new ones in terms of triggers in database changes. But the reason I want to note this before we get into it is if you're on a free plan, then you would simply use buttons for anything we're about to talk about. So everything we're about to talk about with database property triggers could also be triggered by a button. So if you like any of the examples that I'm about to show on database property triggers, just know you can create a button and it's a manual click, but it's a pretty simple manual click that can trigger multiple actions in the same way that we're about to see with database triggers. It's just the database triggers will be triggered by some behavior in the properties as opposed to clicking the button. So let's get into what that looks like in the next type of Notion automation. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple simple ones first. Let's say with daily tracking. So right now we apply our database property triggers by using this lightning bolt here. I'm jumping in with a short insert here because shortly after recording the demo that you're about to watch, Notion changed their interface. So I want to clarify the slight change that will be a little bit different when you look in Notion from the demonstration that follows this point on the Notion automation trigger properties. So Notion has moved what used to be located right here. Now we have an icon for filter and sort. And between that and the search magnifying glass, there was a lightning bolt icon, which you'll see in the demonstration that follows. Just wanted to let you know that that lightning bolt icon for automations has now moved to the 3-dot settings icon. And if you go in here, it's located right here. Lightning bolt automations, click that, and this is where you'll be able to set up the automations that I'm about to demonstrate. But it's no longer located here. It's now inside the 3-dot icon in this list here. Hope that helps. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. There will be a place to activate your automations. And at the moment, it's this lightning bolt here, but wherever it is, clicking the automations setup button will bring you here, and you can apply a new automation. And you can do multiple ones, and you'll title each so that they're clear. So you want to have a clear title here, say new daily tracking entry. And so the trigger will be, we have a lot of choices. One is a new page is added. That would be in this database. Or we could have any of the properties are edited. Now this is the trigger, keep in mind, not the action. Previously we saw things like this in the actions. Now we're setting up a trigger. So if either a new page is added in this database or any property is edited, meaning any change to any property, that would be the trigger if you choose that. And the rest of them, if you choose date and title, date, week, any of these other properties, that means if there's any change at all in any of those properties, it will trigger the action. In the instances where you have a little arrow here, click that, you're going to have options. So when it's a checkbox or when it's a selector or a status property, you will be able to choose a particular change, not just any change at all, but a particular change. So if it's a checkbox, you can choose whether it's checked or unchecked. If it's a selector, meaning a single select or multi-select or status setting, then you can choose what selection it is that needs to be selected in order to trigger it. So if it's status, if it's next up active completed, you can choose active or completed as the thing that has to be chosen with the selector to trigger the action in the automation. So it gives you a lot of control over it. Hopefully we'll get more control so that more of these are giving us precise options, a particular date, a particular setting, not just any change. But right now it gives us a lot of flexibility with just any change in any particular property, and with some of the properties, more precise selections of certain changes. But let's say a new page is added. That's the first example here. Then in action, we'll set the date to today. Again, we only have the two choices for dynamic dates. Hopefully in the future we'll have more. I'm certain in the future we will have more, it's just a matter of when. When we do, they'll be listed right here. Choose today. So now we create that. So now we have a new action called new daily tracking entry. Now if we add a new one, the date is automatically applied. That's nice. Again, not groundbreaking, but one less thing we have to do. In the past, we had to open this up and we had to apply the date. So that's nice. So we can have any entry filled out or populated by creating automations here. That's one thing we can do. And similarly, we can set it so that when you check completion, and just as we did with this button here, we can make it so that when you check done here, it also applies the completion date. So that might be easier if you're used to just having the done, and perhaps it also assigns a notification to other people. So let's say we added a new automation here. We'll call it task completion. You always want to label it because you can have a stack of these automations and you want to be clear on which is which. So add entry, let's say done is checked. So when done is checked, that will be the trigger, and add a selection here. Now completion date is set to today. Create. So now let's open one here that doesn't have a completion date already entered. So now when we check done, completion date will be populated. Takes a moment, then populates it. And you can have anything else done here too. So say, let's delete this so we can do it again. Uncheck that. Let's say instead of completing it, we want to have it passed on to someone else. So we go into our action here. So in addition to completion date set to today, we can have another step, which is add a page to, select a database, and choose action items, which is the database we're in, but we're going to create an action item. And we could pick any template if we had templates here, which we don't. And you can title it here, depending on the sequence we want. So you might be assigning an action item to someone else. You might be assigning another action item to yourself. Perhaps it's a dependent action that you want triggered whenever you complete a certain type of action. You could say new action. But typically, I think it'd be more interesting if you're working with others and you complete this, it notifies somebody else of a new action they need to take. So we want to edit another property. We can go into the people database and we can choose a person in our people database. Let's just choose a random example. And now it's going to assign that other person to be the person attached to the project. More commonly, you might do this as team members, but for the sake of this example, I'll pull them out of the people database. But you might do an owner of the task from your workspace assignments. Another property, and you can set status. You can set status to active or whatever properties you want it to have, priority to immediate. You can totally define the new task being entered into the database. Now, note that this is being applied to anything that's checked. So every checked item is going to apply this. Now, that's almost never going to be what you want. So what you really want is if you come in here to the trigger is set to task completion for pages in action items. We'll save this. Now note that we have multiple views here of this database, and even one more here. So these are all the views of this database. You can switch to different views. In the automation trigger, you can set either all actions in the entire database or any of the filtered views. Each of these are these filtered views across here. So the power of this is it lets you be selective of which actions that it is applying the trigger to. If you choose this, it's going to be every action in the entire database. But if you choose, say, this one, completed today, it's only going to apply the action to the things that are completed today, meaning anything that enters this view, which means anything that meets the criteria for this view. So we come to tomorrow. In order to meet the criteria for this view, you have to be active, not checked, and have a due date set for tomorrow. So anything that comes into this view would be triggered if we set this to the tomorrow view. So that lets us be selective of which tasks are applied. You can set whatever criteria you want for a view, and then anything that meets those criteria, it triggers the trigger, but only when it meets those criteria. So that's how we would set criteria. It'd be nice if we could just set the criteria here, but we can do this by just setting up a view of whatever we want to filter by. And then when we come into the automation trigger, under the title here, we can choose that view. And then whenever it meets the criteria of that view, it will then apply the action. So that's how we would apply the action only to certain types of tasks in this case. So when you're working with tasks, projects, goals, you can assign the completion date, any subsequent actions either for yourself or for other people. If you change the owner, say we're in the content pipeline. Say we're in our content creation pipeline, looking at various production levels, and we want it so that when we move from writing to editing, it automatically applies the editor as the owner. Well, that'd be very easy with this. So we'd go here, we'd create an automation, and we would add a trigger, which is that we change from writing to editing. So status changes to editing. So anything that's assigned to editing, we'd probably want to remove all the others and leave just editing. So now anytime that editing is selected, it's going to automatically apply. So we choose the owner here and we choose whoever the name of the editor is. So whenever we move something into editing, it's automatically going to assign the owner based on it being in that column. And whenever we move it to any other column, we could have the proper person automatically assigned to it. That's super useful when you're doing a series of steps or processes with a team. But perhaps the most valuable and useful application of this is in projects. Now we finally have a way, when we add a project, we can automatically add a group of tasks. That's the most universal and practical and high value add version of this. So the way this works is whenever we add, we'll call it new project. It'd be a specific kind of project, not all types of projects. New XYZ project, because you'd be doing it just for projects that have a certain series of tasks. Not every project has the same series of tasks, but say The classic example that everyone uses is, say you're creating a YouTube video or a blog post or a podcast. You're going to have a certain set of steps that you do every time. Whenever you create a new project, which is that new type of content, or it could be when you add a new client to your client database, there's a certain onboarding process. You'll have the same steps of onboarding for them. So you'll create those tasks in your task database by creating the project. And it's very simple to do. You add the trigger here, and you typically would have a particular view for a particular type of project, if it's a project. Perhaps all clients would have the same onboarding, but if not, you'd have a particular view for each type of client. And then you do page added. So we're in the projects database. So when a new project is created, meaning a new page is added to the projects database, you would go in here and you would choose whatever view filters for the type of project that would have this series of tasks. Or if you're in the client database, you'd filter for the type of client that would have this series of onboarding or startup tasks. Or if you only have one type, say you're in the content database, it might be every type of content you create has the same tasks. Up to you. Either pick everything or a particular filtered view. We'll pick a filtered view here. And then you set the action, and the action will be to add pages to. Now this will be adding pages to another database. Now you can select the database. Since we're creating tasks, we're going to make them in the action items database or whatever your task database is called. And then you can title it. So action 1. And then you can add the properties that that first one has. So maybe it's status active. And then any other properties it has, priority, immediate, and any other properties it might have. So if it's active, we require to have a due date, so we can set a due date. Now, unfortunately, we can only set today and now, so we'll set today, and that prompt us to update the due date if we want it to be in the future. So that's the first one. Now we have another step. So this will be the second action in the action database. So now we add another page to the action database. So we have to pick the action database again. And we will now call this action 2. This is the second task that it's associated with this new type of project. And again, we will set whatever properties we want and say status for this one is next up. And so that one does not need a due date because it's not an active project according to the PPV rules. If you're using a system other than PPV, then adjust as needed. Set whatever properties you want and you set priorities or whatever you need to set it to be and so forth. So then each new task will be a new setup. And we can do a third one. And again, we're going to add pages to another database. We're going to select the database. It's going to be action items. And it'll be action 3. And you can do as many as you want, setting as many properties as you want. Status for this will be even further out, so it's queued up. It'll be future 1, and so forth. And we hit create. Now we have this new XYZ project. But it's also very important that each of these is attached to this project so that when we look at them in the project view, they are connected to this new project. Because we're creating a new project, we want all the tasks that it triggers, that it creates, to be linked to that project. So it's important that one of the properties for all of the tasks is for the projects database. And when we want to set that, linking back to this page is the self-referencing filter to the new project we're setting up in the automation. So we'll set that to this page. And then for each, remember we set up 3 actions. So each of these actions needs to have the property for the projects database, because these are tasks in the action items task database. We need to set the property for the projects database to be linked to this page so that it will have those tasks linked to this project. That's the whole point of creating new tasks with a new project, that they're connected to the project. And then finally, our third one, we're going to go into the projects database and select this page again, and then we'll hit save. And now it should be set up. Now we're going to create a new project. We'll call this automation test project. And we'll scroll down, and you see we have in our template that was automatically created, we had the default template for projects. So it applied our project template. It's got our layout for projects with all the things we like to see in projects in the PPV project dashboard. And automatically it created these 3 actions that were the actions that we just set up in the automation. Action 1, 2, 3. The first one is active with the due date set for today and the priorities as we set them. They're queued up in order, and they're all connected to this new automation test project because we have the project property. If you open any one of them, the project property will be the project that we applied the template to, which is the automation test project. If we go back to our dashboard, so we come back to the action zone, we'll see if we bring our projects property over here, we'll see that action 1, which is the active one with the due date for today, due date is set here, is connected to the automation test project and is queued up to be done, rolled in to today because it was set with the due date of today. If today's not the day we want to do it, it comes in as today, and we know, because we're looking at it, we're looking at our actions today as we do today, we'll see the new one, and we'll know simply to assign it to a future due date if we don't want to do it today. The action is to reassign the due date. So there was an action for today. It was to reassign the due date to a date in the future. Managing our small, viable mini to-do lists for each day coming up this week. So adding tasks when you create a certain project or a certain client or a certain type of entry in another database is probably the most usable, most viable, most common application of this function. Again, if you don't have a paid plan, you simply create a button, either a button in the page or a button in the database properties. Hit the button, it'll do exactly the same thing. It'll create multiple tasks. So that gets you around it with a free plan. Clicking a button is nothing. It's not a big deal. So either create a button if you're on the free plan or create an automation for a new entry based on a filtered view. Will create all the actions and tasks you want for any type of new project or client or activity that you might be creating. Now, with all that, that's a lot of enhanced automation, but there are a lot of critical things that are not possible that we desperately need. And I know they're going to be coming sooner or later, but hopefully sooner, because these upgrades will make automation so much more valuable for us. And a lot of it centers around the idea of dynamic elements. So one thing you can't do with these database automations is you can't have it such that when a new entry in the database is created, it triggers the automations. But there's one blaring exception that it doesn't work for, which is one of the most useful things. The first thing I thought of was, well, when we have a recurring template that would automatically create a new weekly review, a new daily tracking, or a new recurring task, it should automatically be able to trigger other things. But right now, recurring templates will not trigger automations, even though they're adding a new entry into the database, a new page in the database. It's an exception. And recurring templates will not trigger the automation. I was crushed when I found that out. So I have to believe that's coming. It's so obvious. It's essentially violating Notion's own rule on the trigger. The trigger is when a new page is added, yet it doesn't work when it's a recurring template. So that would let us automate the addition of the new page to trigger the template. And that becomes even more valuable again when we have additional future dynamic dates that we can set the addition of the template. So sooner or later, I trust that's going to be here, but right now you cannot trigger a new entry in a database for an automation with a recurring template. Something else we desperately need is action delays. So you can set timing in the future for the action. So the trigger happens when it happens, but there's a countdown number of days or weeks before the action applies afterwards. This is something those of us who build Zaps in Zapier or in Make are used to. Sometimes you have the trigger, but you don't want the action to happen immediately. You need to set a spacer of time for when the action follows. We don't have that yet in Notion. Hopefully, in fact, I'm sure we'll have that someday. It's such a basic foundation of automations, but in this current relatively early wave, we don't have that yet. Another really big dynamic element is right now, these automations will not interact with rollups and formulas. And that just limits them greatly. So while you can have changes in most properties, any change in most properties can trigger an action, that does not happen with rollups and formulas. So a change in a rollup, so a change in the status of a project. So a project might be connected to a task. You can't have a change in a status setting or a selector setting of the project that is already connected to the task a change in another property can't roll up to the task and trigger an automation in the task database. So that's really frustrating. We'd want to have it such that when there's a relation between two databases, you can roll up any other property, and a change in the roll-up, meaning any other property in the other database, can trigger a change in the first database. So a change in any property in the projects database could trigger a change in properties in the task database. Perhaps marking complete a status in a project could mark complete a task in the task database and all the tasks associated with it. There are convoluted workarounds for this, but they're not very good. They're not worth wasting your time on. We should have a simple way to have roll-ups of any database that there's already an existing relation to trigger actions in the other database. Similarly for formulas. Right now, we can't do it. And we really need self-referencing filters for actions on relation properties. So applying edits in another database that are linked to the database trigger, the project entry. So if, for example, a change in a specific project triggers actions applied to all tasks that are relationally linked to that project. Right now, we can't do that. It seems so obvious that we should have the same kind of self-referencing filter based on the trigger of the action so that the actions that follow it are applied to anything related to that initial trigger. Again, hopefully something that'll come soon. Additionally, we need full and/or logic for multiple triggers. Right now, we have a lot of control over the actions and the ability to have multiple actions stacking on top of each other, as many actions as you want, but we don't have a lot of and/or logic for multiple triggers. When multiple conditions are met, either both or all of a stack of triggers are met, or others are met, or some combination thereof. So we need the ability to have a series of triggers and various and/or logic between them to establish what initiates the automation. Something we're missing. Something I do trust we'll get that. It's very similar logic to the database filtering and/or setups that we have, which are very powerful in Notion. So I'm sure at some point we'll get that same level of control to the automation triggers. We just don't have it yet. And we need a lot more specific actions. Instead of most merely being a property is edited or changed, we need for each type of property the control over the specific type of change made being the trigger to the action. So those are a lot of areas where we can grow, but there's a lot we can do already. But as you see from most of the examples here, the overall biggest benefits of these automations at this stage are for teams. Though there are some nice uses for individuals, but right now this lends itself more to team use. And finally, we have two types of AI automations, and this echoes what we saw with the buttons. We have database AI properties, and we have AI blocks that can go into page blocks. Let's look at each of those quickly. I will do a video in the not too distant future on AI and artificial intelligence in Notion. This is in many ways one of the biggest aspects of how Notion will evolve and will become a core aspect of Notion. A big Forbes cover story just came out recently with the founders of Notion talking about how they are betting on AI being a fundamental change in how Notion works and all applications along these lines work, and that this is a way that Notion can really distinguish itself and set itself ahead of other competitors, even such as Google and Microsoft. And I think that's totally true because of the unique way that Notion is built and the unique way Notion is used. All of these tools will obviously leverage AI, but Notion has some really unique ways it can use AI. I talked a lot about that in my previous video if you want to see my thoughts on that. But let's look at two of the ways that Notion is using AI. And AI is very much about automation. AI is about doing work for you. So there are a couple ways already, and we'll cover this much more thoroughly when we get to my AI video that's coming up soon. We're going to touch on what we currently have in Notion, which is two AI properties. There are other AI tools in Notion, but these are the automation-oriented ones, the ones that would be triggered naturally without you having to actually interact and guide it. So there's way, way, way more to AI and Notion than this. But these are the ones that lend themselves to our topic today, which is automations. And specifically, there are two types of really automation-related AI elements at the moment. One is database AI properties, and the other is AI blocks. So kind of similar to what we saw with the buttons. So we've got AI embedded in properties and databases and AIs that are blocks on pages. We're going to look at both of them fairly quickly because I'm going to be doing more about Notion AI, and we're going to be covering these as well as a lot of other Notion AI capabilities in future videos. So let's dive in. So first of all, looking at database AI properties. So for these, you need to have the AI package, the AI add-on, which is a paid add-on. So you need to go into your settings and turn this on. It's going to cost somewhere around, I believe, $5 a month per user. One of the downsides is if you have a team, it's everybody's on it or nobody's on it. You can't selectively put just some team members on. That's unfortunate. I'm hoping Notion will let us selectively add some members, not all the members. So that makes it a harder decision for some teams. But for individuals, you can choose whether to add yourself and add this feature. And it'll bring these automation capabilities plus a lot more capabilities like Notion Q&A and, well, a lot more. We'll cover that in the future. So if you have the AI package, this is what you can do in terms of AI automations. So first we're looking at this database. You can do this in any database, but I'll give you the example in the PPV Knowledge Vault, which is a really powerful and central database for personal knowledge management in Notion PPV. This is where we organize all the topics that we care about, that we want to learn about, that we want to collect resources on and information and become more effective in thinking and creating and doing things across these topics. So it could be life, it could be, school-related activities, it could be professional, it could be health and wellness, it could be family, all the categories that are important to your life that you want to build knowledge and information and resources. So they all aggregate here. This is a very short example of it. Obviously, you would have a lot more topics than just this, but here's some examples. And we now have the ability to go into properties if we add a new property, and we're going to have a number of AI property blocks. Just like the rest of our properties, we now have some property blocks. Now we have more than these. We have 2 more than these. In fact, I've already added them because they take a little bit of time to process and apply. So in addition to this, we have AI summaries and another version of AI keywords. But if you're translating, that could be useful. But for the most part, I think the 2 that I've already applied are the 2 most useful. So we'll go into properties that we already have that are not visible, and I'll turn them on, and they're noted as AI properties with the little purple AI at this point. The Notion interface can always change, so that may or may not be there, but I suspect AI ones will always be indicated in some way, and this seems like a good way. So we're going to turn both of those on visibly so we can see them now. And what we have here is AI keywords and AI summary. So for all these topics in our Knowledge Vault, we now have these 2 properties, and this is fully automated. You don't do anything, you don't touch it, you just turn it on, activate it, and it will go through the contents of these pages and create a summary of the body of writing and text and images and everything in the pages, and it'll create keywords automatically. Now we're separately in our Knowledge Vault, we create our keywords manually because we want to define and control that, but it's interesting to allow the AI to do it. It might come up with other things. It might be good for sorting and searching. So it's interesting. I'm not ready to relinquish that control yet, but I'm testing it. And here's what it came up with for these various topics. Because there's some length to these, I did turn on wrap column for both of them so we could see the full contents of these. Otherwise, they'd be cut off pretty tightly. But the summaries are really good. I've gone through, I've checked the body and double checked the summary, and it's really good summary. It gives you a nice, concise summary of what is in each of those pages. And it's right there in the property table. So however you want to view your properties, you can see this. I think table view lends itself to this kind of larger amount of information. But that's great. I mean, that's automation at its best. It's giving you a summary without any effort, and it's giving you keywords. So that's there. That's available if you're on an AI plan. Similarly, let's open a new page here. Call this AI block tests. And we'll open this. And now, in addition to being able to put AI automation into the property areas, we can also put it down here. And if we do our normal slash type AI, we can see we have a few options for AI blocks, which will embed this into the block in the page here. So similar to buttons being able to be a property or a block in the page, AI can be a property or a block in the page. So here, again, we can do a summary, which would be great if we put that here. At the top of the page would be a logical place for that. And as the page filled up and had information, then you have this button. You're still going to have to click the button to trigger it, but you click that button, it will generate the summary. Now this is a blank page. So let's go and look at a page that has some contents. So we already have the block summaries here. Let's go into systems thinking, because I know that's a longer, more detailed one, so it'll test the summarizing better. So we've got a table of contents up here, and maybe we'll insert a line at the bottom of that, and maybe divide it, separate by the divider. And now we'll do AI, put a summary here. Now we've got the block. Now we've got a lot of substance in here. There's a lot in here. So it's going to really do something for us when we click generate. And it's going to create a summary of the page, just like the property did above. But now we have the ability to embed this in the page, which might be a more useful place in layout. And I can already see this is a little bit longer. And you can update it. As you add more to the page, you can update the summary, and that's going to be super useful. So that's a great thing. This is an AI block here, which leaves it available to update, and it's got a time for when it was last updated. So that's 1. 2, hit slash again, AI to get our options. Of course, you could scroll through if you didn't want to type AI. Now you can do action items. You can extract from the page action items, things for you to do. So again, it's a button. We generate that. It thinks, and it's pretty quick. I mean, that's a big page it's going through, and now it has defined takeaways. Now, this may not be so useful for a Knowledge Vault page, but think about a meetings page or an events page, or you're taking notes in a course. So you've got notes for lessons that you're studying. This could be quite useful. And if these are useful, as always, you can highlight these and drag them into any database you want, such as your action items database. So that could be useful. And then thirdly, we have custom block AI. And this is perhaps the best of all of them. Here, you create the block and the button, and you can write your own prompt. So say you're pulling in content and you want it to create anything, any particular assessment or analysis, you can write your own prompt. And then just as we did previously, you hit generate. And the beauty of this generate button is it doesn't just apply it to what you have, is you can create a template from it, and then it'll put this block into the template, and whatever page you create from the template, you've got this one button generate based on either the summary, the action items, or your own custom prompt, which is my personal favorite. So we'll explore this further when we get into our AI videos, but I think that's really cool. So that's automation at its best. That's doing a lot of work for us that you can just imagine summarizing that from all this text. I mean, that's a lot of automation right there. So very powerful tool, very simple to apply. All of these automations are very simple to apply. So there you have it, the 10 no-code internal automations in Notion. It's a lot. Some of them are very simple. Some of them are more elaborate, but comprehensively together, it's giving us a huge step forward in how we can automate and streamline our systems. Again, not radically changing our lives, but streamlining, putting some nice, satisfying elements into it, and perhaps most importantly, indicating the direction that Notion is committed to. They have started down this path of automation. We started with very, very little capability in terms of automation. We have now taken some big steps forward, but this signals that they are committed to building this out. And the clear next steps are obvious. I've touched on some of them. Those things will happen. They're in development, and we're going to have increasingly robust automations as we go, both with basic automations and with the AI automations. Both of them are going to be fleshed out because that is what this kind of software is for, streamlining, optimizing, and creating a sense of flow in system design. And automations are very much a part of that. So that's only the start. We're going to go a lot further than that. And of course, we'll do videos as system-related automations are enhanced. We'll go deeper into all of those evolutions as they come out. But again, do not get bogged down on this. These are not the essential parts of the system. The essential parts of the system are the guardrails and the resources and the clarity and the path, the design path that you are building. The intentionality and the clarity and the focus all comes from aspects of the systems that are not based on automations. Automations are nice icing on the cake. Do not spend a ton of time on these. Focus on the guiding principles and the value goals and the goals and the various tasks that break down step by step how to consistently make progress on your life aspirations. That's what the system's all about. Designing your habits and routines and your practices and your rituals to build the person you want to become, to achieve the things you want to achieve. That is done with the system design. That is not done with automations. It is certainly not done with formulas, and it's not even done with external automations or coding or anything else. So focus on what matters most, which is a basic system that creates guide rails and clarity and focus on the things that matter, and then implement on the things that matter, on defining your high-level aspects of the alignment zone, and then breaking them down into clear, actionable, consistent steps toward it. Focus on the basics. The basics will get you much further in life than these fancy features. Don't get obsessed with fancy features. And what I like about what we covered in this video is these are fancy features, but they're very simple ones, very easy to implement. I get concerned when I see people obsessing over endless formula tweaks and trying to jerry-rig this and duct tape that, because that gets you very small incremental gains, barely visible incremental gains, yet takes an immense amount of time. These things we covered today also give you just incremental gains, but they're very quick and simple and easy to implement, and they won't break. So that's why I thought these were worth covering and spending this much time on. So this was a long one. I hope it was helpful. Jump around as you need to review anything, but I wanted to cover these comprehensively so that this is here as a resource for you. We've got a lot coming up. I'm going to get more into other system-related design elements that are relatively new in Notion that we haven't covered yet, and specifically how to apply them to life systems, which is not what I see. Lots of people are very effectively covering how to use new features as they come out, but we're thinking holistically how to apply them to life design, to life systems, and bring that kind of workflow design into it, not just here's how you use this feature. So hope that's helpful. Lots more to come. If this kind of thing is valuable to you, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Hit like if you found it valuable, and we will have a ton more to come. If you want to join the newsletter, I cover a lot of related elements, not so much Notion focused, but a lot of life design, life enhancement practices tends to be covered more thoroughly in the newsletter as well. The link to subscribe to that is below. And my free Notion template pack is available for anyone who subscribes to the free newsletter. You can unsubscribe at any time, but I hope you'll give it a chance because I put a lot of effort into it and I think you'll find it valuable. So as always, add any comments below. Happy to engage, discuss, and dig deeper on any of these topics. And I have a lot more in the pipeline, so lots more coming soon.